Hey y'all, this is Victor Haskins with another one of Vic's Tips. And in this episode we're going to talk about maximizing the efficiency of your practice. And this actually was inspired by a conversation I was having with my student during one of our lessons, where I gave him all these different exercises and techniques and things he needed to practice. I told him he needed to do them every day, that way his body could develop this muscle memory and make it habit. And he's like, man, it's a lot of stuff. I only have at the most an hour on a given day to practice. And I was like, okay, well, you can get all this stuff done. I thought about how I practice, or how I used to practice when I was that stage of working on my playing. And I thought about it, and I use this concept that actually comes from weightlifting. I've always been doing this, but I never really thought about the fact that I was doing it. Then the concept is called supersetting. So when you're weightlifting, supersetting is when you work two opposing muscle groups, and while you're working the other one, the one that you just worked out is resting. So say we're going to do, work out chest and back. Those are two opposing muscle groups, right? Chest is a pushing, and then back is a pulling thing. That's how those muscle groups work. And so I might do 8 repetitions of bench press, and then instead of resting 60 seconds, 120 seconds before I do my next set of bench presses, I'll turn right around after doing those 8 reps of bench presses and do pull-ups or do rows or something like that, and then do 8 repetitions of that, and then I've been resting my chest as I'm working out my back. And similarly, I'm resting my back when I go back to do the bench press repetitions. And so I get the same amount of work done in less time, and it just increases the intensity of the workout. So my heart rate is going to be up the whole time, but I'm going to be getting the same amount of work done, and I'm not overtraining the muscles. I'm letting the muscles rest enough. Similarly, you can make it even more intense and more efficient if I were to say superset bench press with pull-ups, but then also do squats and deadlifts, which is a pushing and pulling leg exercises, lower body exercises. So I could do 4 exercises back to back, and by the time I finish doing bench press, pull-up, squat, deadlift, I've rested my chest enough to do bench press immediately again. So a workout that might last an hour can actually last about 20 minutes. And so the same thing we can apply to our practice session. Instead of just playing a tongue exercise and playing it and then resting and then playing again, because of course your tongue gets tired and you want to make sure you're practicing good habits and you're making the tongue accurate and everything. You might practice a tonguing exercise, and then you practice a slur or flexibility exercise, and then do long tones right after that. So now you're working on your tonguing, your articulation, you're working on your flexibility, you're working on your tone and sound control and intonation, and of course you've been recording all of this because you record your practice, because that's a good thing to do. It's very, very vital. And so now you have all this recorded, and you're of course working on endurance at the same time. So when you finish all those 3 exercises, articulation, flexibility, and long tones, you now listen back to what you just practiced so you can review it, so you can do another repetition of the whole set, so you can fix it as you're in the practice session. And of course, while you're listening to it, your face is resting, but your mind is still engaged with figuring out, okay, tonguing wasn't even here, or the fronts of the notes weren't crisp like I want them to, or the slurs were sloppy, or the tone was not, whatever it was. You have all this stuff happening, and you're working on 4 or 5 different things at the same time, and it shortens the amount of time that you're spending practicing, or compresses everything that you're doing into a shorter amount of time, so you're able to get more stuff done in less time. To this end, I would suggest that when you approach your practice session, because this is really intense on your mind, not just on your face, but especially on your mind, you should really plan out your practice session. So just like you might do a workout in the weight room, say, okay, I'm going to do this exercise, followed by this exercise, followed by this exercise, and then loop it, and then I'll move to these exercises, and that's going to help you stay engaged and moving from one thing to the next, so you're not sitting there and you finish like a tongue exercise and go, what do I do next? And you're wasting all this time thinking about what you do next, and you should plan it out beforehand so that way you can be really efficient and just go from one thing to the next. So yeah, that's a way to maximize the efficiency of your practice. So I hope that was a really helpful tip, and I'll see you guys next week. Thank you. Hey y'all, don't forget to rate this video a thumbs up,
comment, share this video, subscribe to this channel, as well as go on to Facebook, liking my page, follow me on Twitter at Victor Haskins, at Improv Story, and also signing up for my email list through my website, victorhaskins.com. Thank you.